Creating a compelling go-to-market strategy is absolutely pivotal for any B2B technology company aspiring to thrive in a competitive market. This strategy serves as a blueprint guiding the company through the intricate processes of launching its products or services effectively. In this episode, I present a concise 5-step approach to designing a go-to-market strategy that can set a B2B technology company on the path to success. Hello, I'm Michael Williamson, founder of Tech Growth Insights, where we believe penetrating insights drive growth for technology companies. I've spent over 25 years in senior leadership roles at major tech firms like O2, Vodafone, Staples, Equifax and Symantec, selling over $30 billion in tech products and services globally. Now I share that experience to help companies discover the customer market insights that enable strategic decisions and accelerate their growth. Join me as we explore the latest frameworks and stories about insights tech leaders can leverage to drive growth, build a winning brand and achieve long-term success in today's competitive landscape. Right, so let's get into designing your go-to-market plan. So the first thing about designing a go-to-market plan, it's really imperative that you design it around, I'm just going to minimize myself here, minimize it around your client journey. That's the best way to do it, to be really customer centric in terms of your go-to-market plan. So if we look at the client journey, you've got the market, which is the pool of buyers who don't really know you, they're not leads yet. Then you've got those clients who become leads, so they put their hand up to say that they're problem aware, they've got a problem, they're aware of their problem, and then you then move them into a prospect where they become solution aware, they're aware of that you've got a solution to their problem, and they're aware of your company, they're aware of your brand, there's some kind of intent there, and that intent then develops into an opportunity. And then that opportunity is then closed into becoming a client. So that's typically the client journey. And then underneath that, there's different states that the client is in. So they move from unaware to becoming aware of your service. We're trying to generate that awareness with them. Then they become interested. Then there's some consideration. Then they move into building their intent. Then they become a marketing qualified lead. So they've essentially put their hand up in order to then engage with you. And then there's the evaluation stage. They're evaluating your particular solution. And then hopefully there's a purchase. And then essentially what we want to be doing in the lead stage is essentially building a lot of education, and then that education then builds into trust and credibility. And that pre-COVID, you could build leads straight into a webinar, but post-COVID, a lot of organisations have been really reticent in order to engage with those organisations that are doing direct outreach. So the best way to handle that is that within our communications that we're educating them on solutions, not necessarily our solutions, but a solution to their problem. So we're attracting those into getting an education without being salesy. We're just doing pure education. That's where a lot of content comes in. But essentially at the bottom here, we want to do that in a way whereby we're building our power offer through our value proposition, and our value proposition is distinctive in the marketplace. It communicates differential value, and then we do that through a power offer, which is basically uniquely ours, where we can basically attract those leads, those prospects into our organisation, to connect those with our service, our product, our solution. And then at the back end of the client journey, what becomes a lot more important is your technical expertise. That's where we basically, the customer's getting in touch with your organization, they're meeting your people, they're moving through into the sales, the piloting, the delivery teams. Those will where your technical expertise is by far the most important at that latter stage. But upstream, your power offer and your value proposition is going to be the way for you to articulate that in a very succinct way. And then basically what we've got here is that first part of the client journey is typically owned by marketing. And then we then move into the handover process from marketing into sales when we get to the opportunity stage. And then as the client becomes a client, a real client, then it moves into delivery, and the delivery teams then own that through into customer success. So that's typically the client journey. And then essentially there are these things within here, these elements which I've termed factories. And the reason for calling them factories is that we want to generally move away from where we've just got a few artisans in the business that are being really entrepreneurial to more of a mature business where we've got a replicatable, scalable model in terms of the sets of procedures that occur throughout the client journey in our go-to-market plan, that basically they document success, and then success can be replicated by other team members. And there's a common understanding how those things occur, those processes within the company to deliver one stage and then to move the client to the next stage. And that's why I've termed them factories. So you've got the customer data factory, and I'll explain why that's so important in a moment. But this is basically where we're gaining insight into the customer. That's our front end view. Everything else will be driven from that customer data factory. If we get that wrong, that's where the whole rest of the back end of the go-to-market breaks down. We then move into the lead factory, where we're developing leads through education-based content. We're then moving them through into the nurture factory. We're making these prospects sales ready by building trust and credibility and doing the warm handover into the sales team, who are then basically running the pitch factory. They're doing the pitches into the clients, and then sales are then signing the client and then moving that into the delivery factory, where ultimately we want to get the customer a lot of success there. So that's basically the go-to-market plan. Where it often breaks down in technology companies is whereby the downstream elements in a tech company tend to be really, really strong. You look at the sales team typically strong, competent, the delivery factory, the technical expertise. But more often than not, in scaling technology companies, there tends to be a lack of investment in the front end, the marketing aspects. So we find generally a breakdown here in the customer data factory, the lead factory, the nurture factory, and then the value proposition, the power offer, tends to be quite weak. And basically this lack of core marketing capability results in the inability to generate and retain the attention of prospects during that client journey. So it breaks down, and then we typically don't have enough opportunities coming into the sales team. The sales team don't have enough leads, and they're screaming, I want leads. And that's because the front end aspects haven't been done correctly, and the back end aspects therefore are starved of any oxygen. So we definitely want to avoid this when we're creating our go-to-market plan. So I just want to get into some of these elements here in a bit more detail, just to break it down for you. And before I do that, I just want to the issues with not creating this front end aspect is that we get into just purely a pitch factory, and then the client is taken straight into a pitch factory. And this is a good example. This is a colleague of mine that I used to work with. In fact, I used to do some consulting work for Social Value Portal and helped in the early stage of that company. Andrew Lowe, his Chief Revenue Officer, he's posted this on LinkedIn, which has got a lot of reactions of people, but basically he's saying that his company managed to get Series B funding, which is fantastic, and they've just been inundated from business development reps just doing outbound calls, outbound emails, outbound LinkedIn messages, typically the emails and the LinkedIn messages, and he's just been inundated with pitches, and it's just, he's termed it outbound blasting, and it's really turned him off. He said there's probably some really good companies in there, but he can't make head nor tail of their offers, how they're trying to engage him, and it's just a pitch fest. So the thing with taking this, your go-to-market plan straight through into just pitching your product, is that we end up basically creating this issue where we're becoming ineffectual in terms of our outreach, and we're also threatening to burn our credibility in the marketplace. And this basically does go on this thread whereby Andrew Hipkiss, he's a global MD of another company, he responds to this and says it's actually really frustrating. This just blatant outreach. There's no credibility, there's no trust built. It's just outbound mail bots. And then it goes on, as you can see, there's some responses here. And then this thread just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's the worst thing for sure about LinkedIn. And then people talking about pitch slapping, trigger-based contacts. There must be another way. And that's why it's so important to ensure that we're building that front-end capability within our go-to-market plan. From day one, we're launching with these right foundational plans. We've got our customer data factory operating in the right way, and I'll come on to that in a moment. We then hand over to our lead factory. We're building education, we're building trust, we're building credibility, and then we're then handing them over into the sales team. And then we've got our power offer, our value proposition, basically penetrating and cutting through the noise. So just within that, there are two ways that you can gear your value proposition and how you outreach. You can either go through false, as we've seen from Andrew Lowe here. He's getting a lot of false, this outreach. The problem with operating your outreach through false is you become a pest. You burn your credibility. You don't gain any trust with buyers. You become a sea of wash of the same. And this is really emphasised since COVID, that pre-COVID, you could get away with doing a lot of email outreach without really thinking through the offer and the customer problem that you're trying to solve. Now, post-COVID, it just really doesn't work anymore. And that's why it's so important to move your offers where you're building in a power offer into the very beginning. So you're operating in the market through power, not through force. And those two things are very, very different. So I have got another video where I talk about building a power offer. I'm just going to do a summary here. If you want to watch that video, you'll find it on my channel. And we go into a lot of detail about how to build a power offer. But essentially a power offer it acts as a customer magnet for companies that use it. And it's basically the source of establishing growth momentum. And in the organisations that I've been in, when we've really scaled our offer into 9 figures, 10-figure offers, then essentially there's always been a power offer at the heart of any program, go-to-market program that we've done. And value creation really starts with customers that spend their money to have their needs satisfied. And then the power offer maximizes that perceived value to the target customers and helps you differentiate your offer from those of competitors. And that competitive differential is so important. But power offers go much, much deeper than just pure value propositions, because power offers, they will capture the unique delivery that only your firm can produce, and therefore a power offer will always stay unique to you. They can't be copied or duplicated. So there's 5 key things that go into a power offer. The first is your customer transformation. So we get paid in technology for solving problems with our solutions and transforming the customer state from bad to good. The best organisations in the world really understand what the customer's current state is and the problems and the pain points with that, and they understand the customer's desired state, and the bridge between the bad state and the good state is their offer. And the best organisations, sales organisations in the world, the Oracles, the SAPs, the AWSs, are really good at agitating those current customer poor states and building this vision about this new state, using their solution as the bridge. And that's what we want to do within our power offer, within our go-to-market plan. We also want to make sure that when we're going to market, we've productized our service, so that if we've got a service-based offering, we've packaged that in a standardized way that can be easily understood, priced, and delivered to customers. These intangible services are difficult to communicate. We need to work on how do we productize those so we can almost pick it off the shelf. It's got parameters around it and can be easily bought. Really important. I cover that off in the other video. The third element is our unique delivery method, or mechanism, which is a distinct method or approach through which our product or service is delivered to customers. It's a unique aspect that we own, we've tailored, we've crafted, and we've built into our experience. The fourth is a risk reversal, and that's very important in terms of our go-to-market. So this is a strategy or approach aimed at reducing or eliminating the perceived risks associated with making a purchase or engaging with a product or service. And this becomes more acutely aware in technology markets where we're dealing with risk-averse technology buyers, CEOs, CIOs, CTOs that are dealing with large ticket items. If they move infrastructure or put in new infrastructure, there's risk attached with things going wrong. So having that risk aversion element is really important as part of your power offer and your go-to-market. And then the last one is to get endorsements quickly as part of your go-to-market. So building up those stack of endorsements, those testimonials, those references. Can you do those through some fast pilots, bringing those case studies through, even if you subsidize those pilots in order to ensure that you're building case studies around those to bring those through into your go-to-market launch through the subsequent phases of that. Really imperative to give, again, risk-averse buyers more confidence that your service and solution is best of breed. And hearing that from people that like themselves, other CIOs, CTOs, CEOs, is going to be crucial. But in terms of this customer data factory, we want to be building that through customer insight. And in B2B marketplaces, this has increased at a geometric rate basically since COVID, having a deep fundamental insight into the customer and splitting that by decision makers and operational leads, because it not only goes into your messaging and into your processes, but modern B2B marketing, because so much research is done by buyers online, it's now become a very data-centric method, very, very data-centric in terms of driving performance. So there's a lot of linkages from getting the customer insight right to how other downstream triggers in communications will work. And I'm going to cover some of these off during the remaining parts of these video. So if we look at your go-to-market plan, you want to be building in a deep layer of insight around your customers to build that customer data factory. So if you've got a current set of customers, then just download your list of current customers, comb through it, identify the largest, most profitable companies that you've sold for and that have got most out of your solution, service or product. If you haven't got a current set of customers, then what you can do is through your product development to really understand who your target market has been, and then go and interview those customers, and then really understand that those sets of customers. But if you've already got a set of customers from your existing company, then this is the easiest way to do it. Download the list, segment those into decision makers and operational leads, and then you just want to talk to those customers to do qualitative interviews with. There's a number of different models to do have these interviews with, but this is so important. Most companies just get, I'm just going to skip this stage, and they move across to the next stage. They just want to get into the sales, and then they wonder why later on that they've got no leads, as they call it. And that's because they haven't done this insight work up front. I can't get over how important and imperative this is, and how even more important this has become since COVID. And it's just about understanding customers. Why did you decide to purchase our solution? Who was the final decision maker when making your purchase decision? What pain points were you looking to solve when you first purchased our solution? How has our products help you solve these pain points? How do you use our product throughout the day? What would you say is our most valuable feature or functionality? Why have you continued to use our product? Where did you first learn about our product, and where do you go for information now? And by doing that, essentially what we're doing is creating a pen portrait of who this decision maker is, who the operational lead is, and we're really distilling that down into data points that then will move into the rest of our go-to-market, that will help with our value proposition, our targeting, and then also our messaging. And then essentially what we would have had is a total picture of customer needs across the decision-making suite and the operational leads. We need to ensure that we're also encompassing the operational leads, and the reason being is that operational leads are very close to the day-to-day. So they're very, very heavy influencers to the decision makers in order to map out the overall specifications of what they need. The decision maker will be signing off the budget because they've got budgetary control. They might have resource management control, but there's a heavy input from the operational leads who they will listen to. So we really need to understand both sets, and both sets will work into our go-to-market process. Then once we've basically got that, essentially what is key is to create an enriched prospect database. And basically this is where the organisation builds a prospect database which is well qualified, well sourced, enriched with contact data, and it's a single comprehensive database which powers marketing and sales process activities across the go-to-market. So without this data, the firm goes blind and has to rely on guesswork, and this impacts productivity in a huge way. There's no factory that can be created. And it disciplines the units in sales and marketing in a common approach of who to target and how to win. And it's absolutely vital in your go-to-market planning. But essentially the elements here are to use your customer intelligence to create a database of your total addressable market, often referred to as your TAM. And your TAM is your total universe in your marketplace of buyers, including who's currently buying your solution. And across a number of organisations that I've worked with, this is the first thing we've done. Build the TAM, build the TAM, build the TAM. And you want to build the TAM in terms of the total marketplace of all available buyers and have one big database. And then from that, you can then transfer that into your serviceable addressable market, termed your SAM, in terms of who your firm can actually target. Now, in terms of creating your total addressable market, there's various tools out in the marketplace. I'll leave a couple of links down below. You've got Apollo.io, which is a good solution for building a view in terms of your TAM. You've got Zoom Info is another one. There's a couple of others in the marketplace that will give you that solid view in terms of how many of these organisations are there, how many of these decision makers, how many of these operational leads are there to build this TAM. And then you can basically score that to build, well, how many of these can we actually reach? Are there any geographies or sectors that we can't reach? And then you've got a smaller subset. And then you want to have a number. You want to have a number of how many in your SAM are you going to target. And then from that, the data set should cover accounts, account contacts, their profiles. It should also be enriched with contact details that you can actually use to target and understand more. So their Twitter profiles, their website, their emails, their phone numbers, their addresses, their LinkedIn profiles, their firmographics. And this very quickly becomes your contact set. So from this, at a very basic level, you've got data that you can either outreach with, or you can take that data and then you can do further enrichment to do other kinds of data targeting to your precise customers. You can build very specific customer lists and then use that to target through various advertising platforms to do outreach. And I'll come on to some in a moment. And then basically the data set should be integrated within the tools and tech stack that the team uses on a day-to-day basis. So all of your sales and marketing processes synchronized in your go-to-market. You've got your CRM, sales funnel, your market development rep, your sales development rep activities, your digital marketing platform, all seamless, all working off the same data. So it's a sequential factory. And then once you've got that SAM, basically you want to score that SAM, score your list of prospects in terms of the solution that you've got in terms of resolving the pains of those users, and then also rate the accounts in terms of significance of value to you, but also the value that you provide to them. And having some kind of industry coding is also a prerequisite for success. So decide which accounts have the highest lifetime value relative to their sales cycle. Also, we want to focus on least effort and maximum reward, so we're getting the biggest bang for our buck. We also want to decide which markets and sub-markets and countries do we want to focus on first, and which have the greatest operational traction. So think about language, regulations, logistics, how we service them, and then decide which firmographic factors will provide the biggest bang for our buck to enhance ROI. So we get out the gate quickly, we build some momentum, some competence, some confidence also within our sales and marketing teams. We get some wins through our belt, we get some company growth rates, and we're looking at company growth rates from a client point of view. We're making those decisions between high value, low volume, high value, low value, high volume. And the key focus is to synchronise the timing across the marketing and sales process and bringing everybody on the same page. So we all know who we're targeting. We're first going to target this cluster, then this cluster, then the next cluster. And we're all on the same page. We've synchronised our activities. And in terms of leveraging our data, what we can do is also we can leverage purchase intent data. So we're doing some go-to-market. There's various what's called in-market audiences, and these in-market audiences are almost like the hidden RFP market, the hidden RFI market, whereby there are organisations out there searching for your solutions all the time. And what purchase intent data does, which can be purchased, this is an example from, I think it's Bombora, is that they collect essentially clicks, internet clicks from a variety of sources. So people clicking on white papers, case studies, they're conducting searches, they're going to webinars, they're doing conducting registration forms, they're viewing articles, they're downloading articles, they're doing subscriptions, they're looking at infographics, and then across those, they're basically broken down in terms of topics. So there might be a topic on, say, SD-WAN, or might be a topic on cloud ERP. And then those topics are then allocated to those clicks. So that you know that, okay, from these 4,200 different B2B intent topics, that they're split, say, these are all the different content sources on cloud ERP in the marketplace, and then these are the number of clicks. And then what these organisations do is they match the clicks of those content sources broken down by topics to the IP address of the enterprise that is doing the click. And then they aggregate them down to look at all of the different clicks that a company is given on that topic through those variety of sources. And then they basically score those against the organisation. And there's some econometric models that have been created that basically assess that when an organisation is in their research stage, they're basically clicking on these they're doing their research, they're downloading white papers, they're looking at case studies, they're doing searches, they're viewing webinars on one particular topic because they're getting ready to buy, they're doing their scoping. So what intent data does is basically unveils all of that so that you can precisely see which organisations are out there in the market from a B2B point of view that are in the market, they're actively researching your service, and then they're in that phase where they're doing their research. And by the score, which is called a surge score, you can identify who's actively researching products, and that's linked to the stage they're at, pre-RFI, pre-RFP. They're building their shortlist, and what we want to do is we want to get on that shortlist. So let me just discuss the surge score. So basically that surge score goes from 0 to 100, typically over 60. It's when they're more likely to be researching that category because they essentially looking at buying that service. And then that score will grow over time. You can track it basically on these platforms on a week-to-week basis, and you see a particular company, they've moved their score up, therefore they're getting ready to buy, and then they'll get to a stage the score will start dropping. And that means they've basically done all of their research and they're moving down. They may be just doing a little bit of other research, and they're moving into contacting those organisations. Now, we can use that for the reverse. We can use this data if we've really understood who our target decision makers are and operational leads. We can use that to actually get in front of that and contact those companies at the right time to put our offer in front of them. And if we do so in a way whereby we're being educational based, we can then move them into our lead factory, into our nurture factory, and we've aligned their purchasing focus directly with our client journey, our go-to-market plan. So that's basically the way that we can use purchase intent data. I used to buy a lot of purchase intent data when I was at Symantec, and that was one of the ways that these large tech companies were grown. The Symantecs, the SAPs, the Oracles, it was all around purchase intent data to find out which buyers in the market, which enterprises were ready to buy, and then to essentially get in front of them. And the small tech companies couldn't compete because purchase intent data back then was a lot of money. But now it's really come down in price, that you can buy leads really for $1.50, couple of dollars, to find out an organisation who is basically in the market to buy. And that's typically, if you've got your SAM, it's probably between 5 to 10% of your SAM is in the market at that particular time, ready to buy your service. The other 90% or so, they're not. And timing plays a big part in this, in terms of getting in front of the right organisation at the right time, and purchase intent data definitely has a big role to play. I'll shoot another video if there's enough likes on this one. I'll shoot a video on a deep dive in terms of purchase intent data. Drop me a comment in the comment box if you want to see a separate video on purchase intent data, and I will do another one in terms of how to leverage it, how to use it, how to make the most out of it. But this was the kind of the key components to get all of these things lit green. So from your client journey, you've got building these 5 capabilities: your customer data factory, you've got the insights around your customers, you're ensuring that you're building your TAM, your SAM, all of that data that you're going to need in order to start delivering outreach programs in the market to build awareness, then moving those leads into that lead factory element to build engagement through education. And you really just want to focusing on engagement, education. Don't be salesy at this stage. Don't mistake a lead factory for a pitch factory. They're two different things. We need to be building credibility before we're making pitches and asking people for meetings. That lead factory is so important. And then, of course, the nurture factory, where we're building intent. We're moving them from solution aware, problem aware, where they're aware of their own problem, into solution aware, into product aware. They're aware of your product. Then we can move them, we can qualify them as an MQL into the pitch factory and delivery factory. And that power offer is that mechanism for really empowering this and making sure we've got a differential proposition in the marketplace. So there you go. That's how you would build a winning go-to-market plan. Any questions or comments, just leave them for me down below. If you haven't already done so, just subscribe to this channel for other videos. You'll see some other videos probably pop up now which are related. And if you want to look at your building your TAM, there's some links in the description below which will help you do that. So once again, thanks very much. Thanks for joining, and have a good rest of the day. Thanks. Bye.